Hey guys, it's Scott with scottieb Cards, and in this video I want to show you a lot of statistics from the average collector. I really enjoy looking at census data. You know, we can look at like average income or the average age of somebody, all these different things across the country, but the challenge is in sports cards, it's hard to do that. But in this video, I'm going to do that. So what I did is I asked my Instagram audience, and there's about 800 responses, so a pretty good amount of people, maybe slightly biased because it's Instagram, but at the same time, those are just everyday collectors. And I asked them a lot of questions ranging from how much is your most valuable card in your collection, how long have you been in the hobby, and a bunch of different things like that as well. So I'm gonna walk you through the results that I got right now. So very first thing, how long have you been collecting cards? If you re-entered the hobby, how long since you re-entered the hobby? I wanted to differentiate that because I want to know how long they've been in it consistently, right? For whatever they're in now, how long they've been in for. And it looks like a majority are 1 to 10 years. Only 29% have been in the hobby longer than 11 years running, which is pretty crazy, but still pretty good to see. Okay, 5 to 10 years is the most common, and we still have 34% 1 to 4 years. So pretty cool to see. After that, I asked, are you a collector or an investor? This is one that always gets people mad. A lot of people don't think you can be both. And I said, I'll let you determine what that means to you individually. So I said collector, investor, 50-50 split, 75-25 split, either direction. Doesn't really matter. And 48% of people said that they are a collector, but we can see 52% of people said that they are at least some portion an investor. So a majority of the hobby is viewed as an investor. And I mean, if you're watching my channel, you probably do like investing, or at least you want your cards to go up in value because we talk about that occasionally on this channel. But in general, it's interesting to see that 52% of people at least view themselves in somewhat as an investor. What type of collector are you? This is tough, right? I couldn't get all of the different types of collectors, so I narrowed it down to 4 groups. Say a team collector, say you're a Rocky Super collector, a player collector, say you're a Todd Helton collector, a set or run collector, let's say you like a specific year and set, or an era collector, or you just like a specific era, whether that's vintage, or whether that's gonna be ultra modern, or whether that's 2000, 2010, or whatever it's going to be. And 68% of people view themselves as player collectors. Obviously, a person can be both. I did not give the option. I want people to self-describe who they are as collectors. And 68%, 591 votes, said they are more of a player collector than anything else. What is your favorite era of cards to collect? And this was interesting, and this is where there may be some bias to my Instagram audience, because vintage, pre-1980s is only 12%. Then we have 1990s cards at 15%. I view that more of like the late 90s baseball or basketball more so than the early 90s stuff, but that's kind of what this categorized at. Then modern cards, like the year 2000 to the year 2018, that's modern, 43%. And then ultra modern, we had 31%. But a majority of people do not really collect ultra modern. A lot of people do, 31%, but that leaves another, 69% that do not collect it. So it's very interesting to see that all the modern, ultra modern stuff is not the primary focus for a majority of people. How much is the most you've ever spent on a baseball card? Have you ever wondered that? Like how much do people actually spend on cards? And it looks like 47% have never spent over $1,000 on a card. And if we combine the next tier, which is $1,001 to $5,000, that's 33% of people. So if we combine those two, we're looking at 80% of people have never spent over $5,000 on a card, which makes sense. $5,000 is a lot of money. But we do have 7% that have spent over $15,000, which is surprising that it was that number. And next up, how valuable is your most valuable baseball card? And I said I would not share the individuals, but we do have the results here. So the most common answer is $1,001 to $5,000. Those are the most common for the most valuable baseball card, but we can see a majority of people again are below that $5,000 tier. Only 28% have a card over $5,000. So when it feels like a lot of people have way better cards than you do, it's probably just the way that social media works, where no matter how good you collect, it always feels like someone has more than you. I've progressed my collection, and I always compare to others, and it's like I can't even compete with these people. That's how social media works. It's like in Star Wars when Qui-Gon Jinn says there's always a bigger fish. It's that exact situation. So don't feel bad because it's very typical, but a majority of people do not have cards that are worth more than $5,000. How much is your baseball card collection worth as a whole? This one I thought was interesting because only more than 8% of people said $150,000. Maybe that's higher now just because of the way that the hobby has really gotten hot the last little bit in particular, because I ran these polls probably back in July or June. But either way, we can see a majority again is going to be $25,000 or less, with $1,000 to $5,000 being the second most common answer and $5,000 to $25,000 being the most common answer overall. But 26% of people having a value of $25,000 to $150,000 kind of surprised me. That was higher than I anticipated. But either way, that is how this shook out. What got you into collecting? So I wanted to find this out because occasionally people saying like, hey, I found your channel. It really helped me get into collecting. But I wanted to know what really got people into it or back into it. And it looks like parents are the most influential individuals. 51% that get people into the hobby, which makes sense. Like I got into the hobby because of my dad collecting vintage baseball cards because those are the cards he grew up with. I remember finding a Michael Jordan card in his nightstand. It was like a McDonald's card in hindsight. But I remember looking at that card and thinking it was so cool. That was like the first time I went from Pokemon to sports cards was in that moment. But second is my friends introduced me. This can be from school. This can be from like Chris and Jeff from Spitballing Cards and Blabbing About Slabbing. Those two introduced each other. Jeff introduced Chris and that's how he got in the hobby. But almost 20% of people said I found sports cards content on social media. So some of you may have found it through YouTube or other means as well. And only 2%, this surprised me, said I saw news stories because news stories are being pushed out. I thought maybe that converted some people to get back into cards, but only 2% picked that one. What is your collecting end game? This one is tough because I find myself in the bottom tier too. I honestly have no clue. Just like collecting. That was 62% of people. 10% said they eventually want to cash in. 21% of people said they want to pass them on to kids. And 8% to complete a goal that I set, player or a set in general. So pretty obvious people just like to collect because I think it's in our nature. It's hard to describe to those that don't like to collect. My wife does not collect. She has no interest in collecting. But for me, I just always like collecting, whether it's Star Wars figures or whether it's Pokemon cards or whether it's baseball cards or whether it's books. I don't know why I'm this way, but I am. And she's not that way at all. She's the opposite. She wants to declutter, but I think collectors just have that ingrained in them in some way. Do you open hobby boxes of cards? If so, how often? We had 52% of people say I don't open hobby boxes very often. 3% is all said I open up hobby boxes once a week. 16% says I open hobby boxes once a month. 29% said I open boxes once every 6 months. So basically, if we combine every 6 months to even further out than that, we're looking at a large majority, more than 80% of people saying they don't really open boxes. And again, I do know that some of my audience, they follow me. I have on Instagram, but we do have a pretty good sample size here. I'd love to run this poll. Maybe I will. If people would like to see how my YouTube audience feels about this exact question, I can run it a community post and we can see people say on YouTube. But either way, that's what they said here. How often do you join breaks? 68% said they do not join breaks. 4% is weekly, 10% is monthly, and 17% is every 6 months. So even more so a split from this previous slide. People prefer to open them by themselves, which I do too. I mean, it's fun to join breaks because you can get like a whole couple cases potentially, but opening a box by yourself, there's something more intimate and fun about that versus having to watch someone and they don't have the cards in hand immediately afterwards. What would you rather have of your favorite player? 1 to 3 high-end cards or 10 to 20 mid-end cards of equal value to the 1 to 3 high-end cards? So let's say there's 3 cards worth $10,000 or 10 cards worth $10,000. What would you rather have? 68% said they'd rather have the 1 to 3 high-end cards. Basically, people have consolidated and they want to keep consolidating, so they have like one really cool card. Is that the best for potential of flipping and investing? Maybe not, because sometimes having a broader set of cards can help you because some will go up and some will go down versus having all your eggs in one basket. But people as collectors really enjoy having 1 to 3 really great cards versus a quantity of good cards in general. And this question that was interesting. In 10 years, do you still envision yourself collecting? 92% of people said yes. 8% said no, but that's still 63 people. So pretty big amount of people still said no, but 92% still believe themselves as collectors. On a scale of 1 to 10 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how much are you currently enjoying your time in sports cards? I messed this scale up. There should be 7 to 9, but I went 4 to 6 and 6 to 9. That might have messed up the results a little bit. Sorry, my fault. But a majority of people, 81%, are enjoying it. That's really great. That's higher than I thought it would be. 81% are very happy with sports card right now. For all the negativity you see on social media, people are still having a good time, which I think is great to see and great to hear. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your personal collection? People are less happy marginally with their collection than they are in the sports card hobby in general, but still almost 80% of people, well, you have 78% of people do like their collection, with 59% or 473 votes saying they're about a 6 to a 9 in regards to happiness, which is a good range. That means they're on the higher end versus being average or below. So overall, I just thought these results were interesting. I like running polls. I like sharing the poll results. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like me to see polls ran on YouTube so you can see what your fellow peers think and what surprised you the most in this video. And other than that, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.